Hi, my name's Crystal Walker, and I'm going to share with you my experiences teaching art online. I've been teaching with Arttree, and I started out their first Zoom teaching this summer, and it actually worked out really well. And I did learn some things that I think I can share with you that work well when you're teaching online because it is a little different. You're not right there with your students, you're not looking over their shoulder at their work, but it can work, and I'm going to share with you what I feel is the best way to do it. The first thing is to prepare. As you can see, I'm going to show you on this next slide how I prepared for this. Okay, so now you know that I use a script. I think it's super important for every single lesson. I write a different script for every lesson. I take that script and I paste it up on a wall, put it on an easel, just somewhere where you can look at it so that you can follow exactly what you want to teach and make sure that you're teaching it in the order that you want to do it. And the more specific that you write out your script, the easier you're going to find that teaching works. Be very specific, especially when you're teaching kids, because you're not there looking over their shoulder. I've even been so specific that I'll say, now take your pencil and place it here. Take your paper, place it here. And this is the time to listen. This is the time to work. All those little specific things really help. Also, what I wanted to cover was use a specific spot if you can. If you can set up your studio in one place, that's also very helpful. Um, it's also very helpful to have a good internet connection. Um, that's going to make a huge difference in the experience on both ends, because even with really high speed internet, which I have, there are times where you'll freeze or the student will freeze. You'll need to reset. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. So don't worry. The platform that I use and that I use at Arttree and that I use at home with my private lessons is Zoom. I think Zoom is a great platform. They have really great security. Um, it's only $14.99 a month, and that gives you up to 100 people, and it gives you a longer teaching time. There are also free Zoom. So if you're going to keep if your lessons are one-to-one, then you can use that, and that's free, and you get up to 40 minutes. So with all the security that Zoom has, I think that's a great opportunity. I want to share with you a slide that had information that really helped me, and it's called artprof.org. This is a teacher that teaches at the university level, and she's been teaching online for a while, and she had some really good insight. All of it won't work for you or necessarily work for what your situation is, but just listening to it, check out some videos online. That will all help everything um, work more smoothly. Hi, computer setup. I have a really old computer. All my products are Mac products that I use at home. Over at Arttree, we use a combination of products, so everything interfaces well together. But I wanted you to also know that I'm running on Yosemite, which is old. I will be upgrading my computer next year, but I haven't had any problems using Yosemite, and so don't feel like you have to have the latest greatest of everything, because you really don't. You can use the products that you have. I prefer having a computer screen for my main screen because it's larger, and as you will see, there are little icons that come up when you have your classroom. So if you have, you know, 10 people, those icons are going to get smaller. If you have 2 people, it's really great. And a lot of it depends on what's on the other end, what your student has. I've had some students that plug into their television so that they have a huge screen, which is really awesome. And some have just used their iPhones. It just really depends on what's available, but it can be done. That's the key thing. So let's go into the studio and I'm going to show you my setup. Okay, welcome to my studio. As you can see, I have my script over here, because I feel that's really important to have that even when I'm doing a video like this. I have a little tripod here with a rubber band, and that's actually where I'm going to end up putting my phone on the tripod using the handle. The camera is going to go in between the base and the handle here, and then I put a rubber band around it, and that's a simple fix, and it actually works. So you don't have to have anything super fancy. I also have my iPad and my computer. I like to put my computer up a little bit, so I've got this little case that the computer is going to go on top of. And then here, this arm that you see, this is what my iPad will stick into. And I don't know if you can find these anymore. I've had it for several years. It's a floor stand, but it works just as fine here on my computer. All right, I'm going to set up my phone now and we're going to get started, and I will, oh, something I wanted to mention. I like working on this grid background because it's a lot easier for me to place my paper, and we'll go through more of that once we get started with how I actually teach a lesson. Okay, we're at our computer. First thing you're going to do is go open up your browser. I'm using Firefox. Type in zoom.us. I'm going to be interjecting slides here because this isn't what you're going to see. So here's what you will see when you start. Okay, after you've made your account, then you're going to do your profile and all of that. Click over here on where it says meetings, and you'll have a whole list of all of your meetings. When you highlight your meeting, it'll ask you whether to start it or not. I want to show you how to schedule a meeting, so we're going to go do that right now. Schedule a meeting. You've got your topic and your description, so I'm just putting test because we're just going to do a test meeting. Gives you options to add it to your calendars, which is kind of nice. What's important is your meeting ID number. That will be specific to whichever meeting you make, whether you do a recurring meeting or if it's just a first-time meeting. Show you that right here in the highlighted, you can just copy that invitation. So you just click on copy invitation. You're able to send that invitation to your students so that they have exactly all the information that they need. So that is really easy. The next thing you want to do is look at your video here. Because we're teaching online, we want our video on. So you'll click on for your video. There's another part down here, and here's another slide. Enable join before host, mute participants upon entry, only authenticated users can join, and automatically record meeting. The only thing that I'm going to have clicked here is mute participants upon entry. The reason why I like to do that is so that I have control of the classroom as soon as I come in. Now, if it's a one-on-one, you don't have to really worry about that. But when you've got a large group, I highly recommend it. So, we've got all those. This is the next page you're going to see. Just click on Open Link. And we're zooming. Oh my stars, can't believe I look like that. So here we are with our audio. Next thing you want to do is connect your camera. So I'm going to go up here, there's a little icon and it says meeting information. Click on that. Gives me all the information that was on the other page. That makes it a lot easier for me to hook my iPad up. Getting my iPad. Okay, so I want to Actually, let me go out of that so you can see. I have Zoom just right here on my iPad already. So you just click your Zoom icon and it's going to then start. I want to join a meeting and I'm going to have to enter, whether it's your phone or your iPad, you're going to need to do this prior to your class so that you're all prepared for your kiddos or your adults. And click join as soon as I put that in. Now it's going to ask me for my security code, which is and the security code and your meeting ID number, if you're doing a recurring class, those numbers stay the same. So once the kids have that, that's great. So we're going to join with video and we do not want audio. So you do not want any audio on your secondary cameras. So here it says unable to access microphone. That's sweet. That means our audio is off. Now I have my camera on. It's saying, please wait, the meeting host will let you in soon. So as the host, now I come down to this lower section of my screen and it's letting me know that there's somebody in the room and I'm going to admit. Once you click admit, then that enables the other person's camera. So now I'm going to pop this up here into my thing, la, and we have visual. Isn't that cool? So the neat thing with this is you're probably noticing that I do not have lights on. That's because if I have my overhead light on, it's going to cast a shadow on my work that the kids are working on. And so I just go ahead and leave the lights off because with the cameras that we have available with our phones and iPads, we don't really need it. Okay, next thing I want to show you. So if you have several participants, you'll see there's an icon up here. It's called Gallery View. Click on that, and that brings up your icons to be larger, which is really nice when you're teaching. So when I have my student, I don't have a practice student on right now, but I will show a slide. Okay, so with those with the students, you can see how if you have a lot of students, the icons go smaller and smaller and smaller. The neat thing with that is all you have to do, if I want the students to see my work, I'm coming over here with my cursor and I double click. Oops, double click that. Hey. Oh, sorry, I have to go to speaker view. There we go. So when you're on, I can click on me, it'll make me bigger. Click on that. So you can switch out. So you can do that with your students, or if you're talking, you can flip it around for you. The other thing that's really important when you're teaching. So this is the top of the page for the viewer. It's the bottom of my page. So when you're discussing with the kids or your students, make sure that they understand that when you're talking with them and you say the top of the page, you need to be aware of where that is compared to you. So it's like reading a book upside down. Just make sure that you're telling them where to place things in relation to what they're viewing rather than what you're viewing when you look down on your paper. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is when you're teaching, you want to have the same materials that your students have. Super important. And the same substrate and the same items, because you're not there with them and you really need to understand what's happening with your materials. When I'm teaching, I'm going to be telling them to use their pencil. A lot of the times I'm using a Sharpie because I have found that for the lighter strokes, the kids just can't see it. So as you can tell by looking on here, I hope that didn't mess it up. So when you're looking at my computer screen, it's kind of hard to see what's going on if I were to draw in pencil. You just wouldn't, you can't really see that. So by using pre-drawing out what you're going to use, number one, prepare, pre-draw, write your script, have everything in order, and I have an example right here of what I actually do. All right, so here we have the example that you just saw on the slide. So prepare your work in stages, and it makes it a lot easier to teach. This was for a mixed class that I did watercolor for a couple of private students. So by making this, I can show the student exactly what's happening and they can see what's going on with the watercolor. So I have each stage to go on to the next. This is really great, especially with a group situation, because I might have someone who's stuck here at this stage, and through the chat feature, I can direct that student if they're ready to go on, or if they need to soften edges, whatever I want to direct them, I can. The neat thing is I might have a student that's already ready to do layering, so that student can go ahead and can see where the progression goes. So if they understand the lesson, they can go along, get their finished product, they can be drawing their layers, whatever. But then if I have a student that's stuck, I can go back and say, okay, let's go over here and work on this. Fantastic. And then also having a finished product to show the, the actual size that you're working on. So I will be painting along, with my student, obviously, so that they know what's going on. But then I also have my sheet that I've prepared so that I can go back and help them where they need to be helped. So I highly recommend to over prepare and have everything that you need. And the next tip would be thumbs up, thumbs down. So if the students, if I'm moving on to the next section, if I'm moving on, I ask them to do a thumbs up if they're ready, and thumb down if they don't know what's going on. That way I can go back into the chat, which is down here. I can hit my chat and I can, type with my student, send them a private message if I need to. They can respond via chat. That saves them any embarrassment. Sometimes in a group situation, a child may feel embarrassed. Thanks for watching, and I hope this will help you get started if you want to use Zoom as a platform for your teaching. And happy teaching, everybody.